Welcome to SSI's Security Speaking podcast, brought to you by Security Sales and Integration. Each episode features thought leaders from throughout the professional security channel discussing technology, winning business practices, hot industry trends, and emerging opportunities. We appreciate your interest and encourage you to subscribe to Security Sales and Integration and its newsletters. Regularly visit securitysales.com for the latest news and follow SSI on social media. Thank you. Welcome to the 2020 Resideo Dealer Roundtable, and I'd like to start off by having each one of you introduce yourself, give a real brief background of your experience in the industry, and also about your company. So just looking at my screen sort of clockwise, I'll start with Stephen.
All right, I'm Stephen. We're the only dealer from this call on Canada. My background in security infrastructure has only been about 3 years. I'm the operations manager at Alarm Tech, and Alarm Tech has been around since 1985.
Excellent. All right, continuing around, Lawrence or Rents.
Yes, thanks for having me. So my name is Rents Coason. I'm president of American Total Protection. We have regional offices in Melbourne, Florida, and Hamden, Connecticut. We have about 65 employees. We offer services ranging from residential commercial alarms to enterprise level access control systems to a fire sprinkler company in Florida and a fire extinguisher company in Florida. We got our start through acquisitions. My father started the business. He passed away in 2013, and that's when I kind of jumped into the industry. So I'm happy to be here.
Glad to have you. Thank you. Sterling?
I'm Sterling Donnelly. I'm one of three co-founders of Alarm Grid, which started in 2012. We're an online do-it-yourself alarm company based out of South Florida, offering service nationwide. We started as a bootstrapped company, built the business account by account, and now we've got about a staff of 25. And our focus is mostly on residential. We do some light commercial as well.
Very good. All right. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room for this year, which is the pandemic and how it's affected, each of you and your businesses, your employees, your customers, and all that stuff. So let's start off by more narrowly focusing that and talk about how it affected your company and your people, how you've dealt with that. So let's continue with Sterling and work our way back around.
So the question was how it affects our employees more so than anything else to start with?
Yes. How has it affected your company internally, and how have you dealt with that?
So being an online do-it-yourself alarm company, we kind of already have been game planning for this world, I suppose, because we're already selling our products and services online and over the phone and through email and chat, which is kind of, from what we've heard, where a lot of the more traditional on-site companies are shifting towards with the current environment, of course. We've, as a company, explored remote employees and in-office employees throughout our history. And we've found that in-person is always preferable. So it's been a little interesting to see with the COVID coming out in March. We obviously shifted everyone back home to a remote setting while everything was first coming out. We are back in the office now with new COVID protocols to ensure employee safety and make sure everyone's comfortable. Luckily, we've mostly avoided any COVID outbreaks. We did have one employee that got COVID through their daughter going back to school. But overall, everything has been pretty good there. And again, we liked, we had everyone shifting for safety, but we do, even being remote ourselves, we understand the importance of having everyone together in the office. And so it's been good to get everyone back into that environment because certainly we've been more effective that way.
You know, being with the model that you have you noticed a uptick this year, you know, due to people not wanting, you know, technicians in their homes?
We're seeing on the new sales side, probably kind of same as what we've have seen historically, surprisingly or not. We've seen an increase in cancellations, certainly. People that are either running into financial hardships, whether they lost their job or they're just trying to cut back because they're not sure about their job prospects. We've also seen a shift in behavior for some of our customers where, you know, they're home all the time now. So they'll say, well, I don't need the monitoring as much anymore. Obviously, people get monitoring for different reasons. But for those that are getting it for when they're not home, you know, that need kind of goes out the window. So we've certainly had cancellation increases because of that. We're hopeful, and we've been told that a lot of those people anticipate coming back to us, you know, once things start to normalize, but, you know, that's still up in the air. So we're just kind of trying to batten down the hatches and improve some of the things that we've been working on already to just, once this does normalize, come out the backside, hopefully better off. I would say that we've seen an increase in support calls. So customers that we have now, it seems like we're getting a little bit of an increase in calls from them, whether that's them home and, you know, ready to tackle to-do lists that have been, you know, there for months that they finally have time to do because they're at the house now. You know, we've seen some of that, and just also obviously with the LTE upgrades happening, you know, we've got a lot of that going on too. So it's been hectic, and we're just trying to roll with it. And, you know, like I said, try to build within so that once this does normalize, we can really come out the backside firing on all cylinders.
And if you don't mind sharing, who does your monitoring?
We're partnered with Criticom Monitoring Services for our clients here in the States, and we actually just partnered with Rapid Response for our clients that we have in Canada.
Gotcha. I want to mention also, as we go through this, guys, you know, that interaction among each other is fine. If you guys have a question based on something you hear someone else say, by all means, jump in and share that. So continuing with the pandemic impact, Renz, do you want to tell us how your company's gone through it?
Yeah, absolutely. And in regard to how it affected our employees, we have, as I mentioned earlier, 65 employees split between our two offices in Melbourne, Florida, and Hamden. And about 30 of those are out in the field, whether they're electricians, low voltage techs, fire extinguisher techs, sprinkler, and the other 35 are in the office. So depending on the office, we kind of had different guidelines. From the beginning, we tried to have extreme transparency and over communicated. We hosted town halls every other night in the beginning of the pandemic, where employees had the option to call in and ask questions to me about how we're handling things, what the plan is, what happens if they happen to get sick, and our interpretations of how do they get paid, etc. So number one was the safety and health of our employees. And number two is trying to make them feel as comfortable as possible with how we were handling it. And we did that through just, you know, extreme transparency. But overall, we are trying to use it as an opportunity to get rid of our inefficiencies and become more efficient. There he is. But yeah, so overall, I mean, we've been fortunate. Our employees have remained healthy. I mean, not many have gotten sick. Everyone's on board. Everyone has stepped up. And similar to what Sterling mentioned, we look to get through this stronger than we were before. Our clients are people that were concerned about security prior to this are even more concerned now. So sales to our existing customers have increased. You know, if they bought an alarm 5 years ago and maybe they didn't do every window, now they want to enhance their security due to the uncertainty. We have had more phone calls of people calling due to financial hardships, where we typically try to work with customers, whether it's giving them some free months until they get back on their feet and they need to call us back to cancel again, or, you know, we need it in writing. But overall, we've gotten through this stronger than I thought we would in March. It was very scary in the beginning of this. I'm in Connecticut, so I'm here. I have a better pulse on the day-to-day in Connecticut than I do in Florida. But I have very strong managers in Florida, and we're seeing more there that, you know, whether it's salespeople or compared to salespeople in Connecticut, there's always the COVID excuse of why numbers are down. And it's very interesting to compare it to Connecticut, where our state have had tough restrictions, where in Florida, the restrictions haven't been as tough. But our Connecticut business has been more resilient than our Florida business has been. And I would have anticipated the opposite in the beginning.
What about in terms of your resi versus your commercial? How is that different for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we got our start in 2011, we were about 30-70 resi to commercial split, and that's flipped. So we do a lot more volume in commercial now, and we have a very large integration division where we do large scale access control, door operators, cameras, and we're finding our larger clients are getting access to funding through grants through COVID. So that side of the business has been very strong. The resi business, it goes back to, as I mentioned earlier, our clients our existing clients have really driven our revenue rather than new sales. I mean, we're certainly still getting phone calls from new customers because of uncertainty, whether that's surrounding COVID, whether that's surrounding the election, but a lot of our growth in equipment sales, and we lead with Resideo's products on the resi side, that growth has really been driven from our existing base, you know, just wanting to add, wanting to upgrade.
And what about in terms of, you know, what you've seen recently compared to, you know, a few months ago or even, you know, 6 months ago?
So, I mean, just my gut is telling me in Connecticut that things are going to become more strict. We have, I believe it's Sterling might be able to help me out with this, but I think we had 3 phases and we got to phase 2 and like partially into phase 3, and then we reverted back to phase 1.1. So a month ago, feeling great, thought things were turning, thought we would definitely see things change after the election. We did see 2 vaccine announcements, so things have changed a little bit. But I'm not as optimistic as I was a month ago. I do think, you know, we are getting back to normal, but I think we've certainly taken a step back from where we were a month ago with everything. Our backlog is still strong. Our Q2 is usually our busiest month, our busiest quarter. Now it's got shifted to Q3. So far, I mean, we're staying the course. But the last week, it just Connecticut specifically, we've reverted back in terms of restrictions. So time will tell.
Yeah, we're unfortunately seeing that in a lot of areas of the country.
Right.
Yeah.
We were kind of leading the nation for a while with our numbers on the COVID side, but yeah, it's certainly, I don't know if it's just the cold weather, now more people are inside, or if it's the COVID fatigue, but every day I'm seeing more articles about new states popping up into the red zone, you know, the territory where they're saying to roll things back. And I've got some kids, 2 kids, one just started pre-K, so he's in person learning. That school, they've had like 2 infections so far, but there's no spread of that, so they're staying in person, and it seems like their administration's really trying to keep that. A lot of other schools have already started to shut down, so it's really varying across the state, and every community is kind of dealing with it differently. So
let's continue on to Stephen. And Stephen, if you could talk about your company as the other guys did, but also are there differences north of the border compared to what we're experiencing here in the U.S. that you're aware of?
Oh, absolutely. I'll start with our company. In March, I'm going to say late February, I saw this coming. Like I read the news quite vigorously every day, and I saw something was happening on, I believe it was March 16th, it was declared a pandemic by the WHO. On March 17th, I told my entire office staff, Kate, we're moving you home. We assigned a technician to an office staff person. We moved them home. We got their desks set up. We brought their computers, their monitors, their work phone. We made sure the VPNs were all working. We made sure that they had PoE injectors for their VoIP phones. We made sure that everyone can do 99% of their job from home. So we had a very streamlined transition. It was very seamless. Within about a week, we had our processes changed. So instead of handing files back and forth, we moved more digital. We started utilizing Microsoft Teams to communicate better. During this whole COVID time, we have actually communicated better and streamlined processes in such a way that our company owners never thought possible before, because we didn't have a choice. We were pushed in this direction of working from home. And now it's November and we're all still working from home. Like I told my office staff, I said, if you don't feel comfortable going back, you don't have to, right? Like I don't want anybody who doesn't feel comfortable going back into the office. Our technicians would usually come into the office every day, take their files out of their little cubby bins, take the parts off the pack shelves. That's all changed. They don't come in the office now unless they absolutely have to. All the boxes are packed by me. I go in 3 times a week at 6 a.m. when nobody's there. Pack all the boxes. It all goes in the garage. Make sure that it's in there for them. So that way it's less doorknob touching. It's less light switch touching. You don't come into contact with each other as much. In the garage, it's a fob to open the door and a code for the pin pad because it's armed, obviously. So it's a lot less. If there was one of our team members who got sick, it would be a lot less spread to the rest of the team. And that's what we really wanted to mitigate, was potential team spread. So we took all the appropriate steps, I'm going to say, in making sure that our team has remained safe. Year to date, we haven't had anyone out sick. We haven't had anyone come into contact with somebody with COVID, knock on wood. We haven't had any of our clients tell us, hey, look, you were in our house, but I just tested positive. So we're very fortunate in that sense. We haven't had a scare yet. So for us as a company moving forward during COVID, like I said, we streamlined processes and we made everything a lot easier for not just the technicians, but also our clients. So I think that coming from a business perspective, this pushed us in the right direction. Going off of what Rents and Sterling said about the actual phases here in Canada, we use colors. So it's green, yellow, orange, red zones. When we had the first big hit of lockdown, we had to make the uncomfortable choice of laying off all of our technicians and having them only work as needed. So that was like a huge hit. We had some very good government funding to help them through that time. Obviously, our clients, when we were in a red zone, didn't want us anywhere near them. We didn't want to really go anywhere near them either, to be honest. But unlike the states where you guys have, each state is acting very independently of each other with no real national direction, we're a much smaller country where our national direction is do what you need to do to stay safe, right? So we're utilizing all the proper PPE. Our residential sales haven't gone down as much as we thought they would. Our attrition isn't as horrible as we thought it might be leading into this. We thought we'd have a lot more clients leaving us. And our commercial business has actually grown a little bit because of people being on COVID, people not being in their workplace every day. So going back to your question about is it difference from the States versus Canada right now, I'm going to go ahead and say 100% yes. We don't have the post-election jitters or even the pre-election jitters like you guys have had. We don't have the civil unrest in such cities like Portland, but we do have increased crime. So the way the media reports on crime in Canada is very different than in the States. You guys lead a lot based on fear, and fear drives a lot of sales. I'm going to go ahead and say in the United States, I would say more so than in Canada. In Canada, people's need for an alarm system is mostly on life safety devices and flood. So we see a lot of people want smoke, CO detection. A lot of people want to make sure that their pets are safe. They want to make sure that their cars aren't broken into overnight from the use of cameras. We do get a lot of people who want burglary systems, but a lot of it is just life safety instead of I'm scared at night. It's more of I want to make sure everybody's okay.
Thank you for that. Richie, do we have you now?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Sorry I was late, guys.
Well, so what you missed is just everyone introduced themselves, and then we talked some of the pandemic. So if you could, Richie, just tell us who you are, your brief background in the industry, and just a little bit about your company.
Well, my name's Richie Pettibone, and we started Pettibone Alarm in 1991 in the Washington, D.C. area. We service security systems. We do fire alarms, access control, and video. Commercial to residential clients were probably 50-50. We've used the COVID. Anytime that there's uncertainty, our business is always going to be fantastic. So it's been a huge benefit for Pettibone Alarm in terms of like where we live in the DC area, when people are unease or knocked out of their normal lives, that's when they buy security systems. And so we've been extremely busy. We put in all the COVID things when the state of Maryland, DC, and Virginia went through the different things. We did home office. I heard the other young man, we Zoomed our meetings, had TV screens in all the different employees' houses, but we really never missed a beat. So our attitude at Pettibone Alarm and what I have instilled in my employees is that this is an opportunity. And if you don't want to be a part of the opportunity, then you need to go find another one. And they've embraced it, and they wear masks and gloves and booties and sanitizer. We've done all that. So that's where we are in terms of, how we feel, or what I try to get my employees to buy into is that unrest, whether it be COVID, protesting, elections, whatever it might be, that's a benefit in the security industry.
But I was also curious from an opportunity standpoint in terms of sales, equipping home offices for customers. Do you see more opportunity there in terms of, the residential networks and the different types of devices and services that they may rely and need more now as they stay home? Because I've heard that as much as 25% of the workforce may never go back to the way it was. So I was just curious if any of you see that as a nice additional opportunity.
It should be. I'm definitely writing that down so I can push it to our next sales team meeting to start looking at accountants and lawyers and people who have sensitive information at home now, who will need that enhanced level of security. And I don't know what it's like in the States, but at least in the province of Ontario here in Canada, if you're working from home and you have an alarm system at home because you have sensitive information, your corporation can pick up 100% of the tab as a tax deferred expense. So definitely, you gave me something to think about and add to my sales meeting agenda on Tuesday.
Cool.
So our biggest partners in terms of referrals are IT companies. So it's that delicate balance of taking business away from them or thinking, bigger picture of referring more business to them. So therefore they refer more to us on the commercial side. So we've thought about it. I've kind of realized, at least in Connecticut, that the best IT companies stay in their lane and they do what they're really good at, which is IT. The small ones try to pick up every dollar they can. So they do IT and then they try to do cameras. And then the massive guys, on the enterprise solution, they can actually do cameras pretty well and IT. So we've looked at it. We'd rather bring in a partner so they can bring us referrals down the road. We purchased an electrical contractor in January. So we have an electrical division in Connecticut. We've done some pre-wires for customers for wireless access points. throughout their house, and then would bring in a partner. But I've always struggled with just having too many referral partners, right? You want to feed everybody. You want everybody to get referrals. So like we really, with IT, I would use it as an opportunity that if someone asked me about a home network where I would bring in a partner, we would want to do all the data drops, but we actually would not. We have in Connecticut 2 internal IT guys that help with networking our locks and our cameras, but we've never done a home system design, and we'd probably just bring in one of our IT partners with the hope that that next big commercial client, they would refer to us.
Mm-hmm. Richie, we still have you?
Yes.
Hey, so what product or service opportunity do you see emerging out of the pandemic as we start to come clear of this? What's going to be accelerated or enhanced, do you think, post-pandemic?
I kind of believe that, all the products that Pettibone Alarm offers or any security professional offers are still going to be, moving forward, a robust market. But to go back, like you were asking about new technology, so we've been big into the Pro Series as well, had a lot of success with that. Another thing, like with the access control, if you're doing access, I'm sure you guys are doing it, where you manage the access and you charge a fee per door. I mean, that's a huge market. And, we're constantly getting, new accounts. And you just remember, when you do those buildings, you might start off with 12 doors, they end up being 25 doors. So whatever you're charging per door, that's a lot of recurring monthly revenue. The other thing is, on the video system, we do not sell video to catch people. We sell video to manage a business in a home, landscapers, manage, painters at your business, and a deterrent. And we're very, very clear about that. We put in security and security to send the police, access to control people, manage and deter. And a really good line that I use, guys, is that cameras are like tattoos, beer, and wine. You're always going to get another one. So sell the system, 8 cameras, 16, always have that infrastructure, because they're definitely adding more cameras. Then down the road, when a van goes out there, technician, opportunity to upsell additional cameras, and we do additional cameras every day. The supply chain thing that was mentioned before has been a big issue. We've actually had to go online and buy, equipment online, but, that is what it is. The supply chain issue is, they just can't make the product quick enough.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Richie. In keeping with our target to wrap this thing up in a few minutes, I'm just going to ask a closing question here. So, and that is, how does your company differentiate itself from your competitors? And, I hear a lot of statements from dealers and integrators, and they'll say, well, it's customer service, or so try to be as non-generic as possible and give me 1 or 2 differentiators that work for you and your business. And so since I have Richie here, we'll start with him and then work our way back.
Okay, I have 4 unique things that I've done since 1991. Pettibone Alarm does not have a term contract. Pettibone Alarm pays all false alarm fees caused by equipment or installation. Pettibone Alarm has never raised the fee on an existing client in 30 years. And Pettibone Alarm will only install non-proprietary open architecture equipment. And I disrupt the market with those 4 things. And everybody in the security industry, you're crazy, you don't have a term. Every single contract is breakable for cause. So if you feel comfortable with a 5-year contract, great. But if somebody wants to get out of it, they're getting out of it. As far as raising the fees, I get a lot of pushback. You can bump it 5%. We're relationship driven. All of our business comes from referrals. We don't do any advertising. We don't do anything. It's all referrals. And then we give 3 months free for every referral. So those 5 things: no contract, never raise your rate, pay false alarm fees, non-proprietary, 3 months free. That sets us apart.
Wow. Which one of those is the most challenging to maintain?
Well, on my end, it's not raising the fee. I mean, I would love to raise the fee, 3%, 5%, but a deal is a deal. And so integrity, hard work, relationships, stick with what you do. And now my son's coming into business, and he's a genius and he knows it all. He's like, Dad, how can you do this? Just this is the way I'm going to do it. You can do it however you want down the road.
Fair enough. All right. Well, keeping it moving, let's jump to Sterling on this one.
Well, the biggest thing that we do different is that we are nationwide and online. Obviously, historically, alarm companies have either been, ADT size, where they have branches all over and they're nationwide, or they've been regional, full install companies that tap their local market. So when we started, the idea of doing it online was fairly new. Today, I don't know that it is that different, because the traditional guys are doing it now, and there's a ton of new players that are trying to do it as well. But certainly that was our biggest differentiator when we started, and we think that it's, in today's environment, it's a good place to be. Another thing we like to do is spend, probably more time on the phone than other companies may like, in terms of, how much time you're spending with a customer in the pre-sales process or on the tech support side. For us, we're not in the home. We don't get the chance to, establish that relationship when the installer comes in and puts a system in. So for us, it's that, consultative pre-sales approach to really win their trust and show them that we're, industry experts that really can help them navigate all the different options out there and get the right system and services that are, right for their home or their application. I guess a third thing, I don't know. You're taxing me on the third.
That's fine. If you think of something else, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on. All right. Thanks, Sterling. Let's go to Stephen.
All right. So at Alarm Tech, we are your local pro. That's how we brand ourselves, and that's what we are. Just like Richie said, we don't raise fees on clients. We have no fine print, no hidden fees, no accelerated clause. Like Richie said, you can cancel at any time for cause. You give us the appropriate notice, you're good. And we do customer service the way you want it to be done. So whether that's a text message from Podium, whether that's an email, or like Sterling said, whether that's spending a lot of time on the phone with our service team, we make sure that we give you the customer service you want. So we make sure that all your questions are answered. Every single time you call our company, a human answers the phone, and not one of those human automated voices that say, just a minute. But no, like my desk phone over here does not stop ringing, because it doesn't matter if you're the operations manager, if you're the service coordinator, if you're in finance, every single person's phone rings. We will all take turns answering the phone, and we'll all make sure that you get the help you need when you call.
Very good. Rents, bring us home.
Yeah, so I would say our size really makes us unique. We're at that mid-tier where you actually call and you get customer support. So a lot of the times we're either up against, ADT, the big boys, or you're calling, you're getting an answering service, or you're calling a guy who can't pick up the phone because he's in a ceiling running a camera wire. So we actually have the backbone inside both offices that have a customer service team that can answer the phone, hold your hand through the process, try to minimize your costs of rolling a truck. You want to go buy a battery? Sure, go buy one. We'll walk you through it. We'll sell you a YouTube value. So I guess that's the customer service side of it. But our size allows us to actually provide a really hands-on customer service feel. We're flexible, whether that's in our pricing, contract designs. If someone doesn't want to pay us for 36 months, sure, we'll adjust the upfront. If someone wants to just be month to month, yeah, but you got to buy the product outright. So we're able, and it's basically because of hands-on management, hands-on ownership, that we want the deal. We'll work with you to get it as long as the math works. So flexibility makes us really unique as well. And then our people. I mean, we're very fortunate. And lately it's created more stress that people care a lot. And that might mean they care too much in the sense of working maybe around the clock or telling customers to call them on their cell phone rather than to call the office, trying to schedule an install for a customer, even though you're a sales guy, and trying to move around the dates. So we're fortunate. People view their colleagues as an extended part of their family. So with that said, they're going to do everything in their power to make us successful. So I would say, the three big things is our size allows us to be flexible and offer a great customer service. Our size also allows us to be really flexible with how we craft deals to make it work best for the client. And then third, it's our people. They care a lot about the success of this business.
Thank you.
To think of my,
go ahead, Sterling.
We got time. So one thing we do, I think, differently than a lot of companies, not everyone, but we always try to leverage what's already in the home as best we can. There's so many companies that are going to come in and say, hey, you got to get our fresh, brand new system, and that's it. We're always probing, even when the customer says, hey, what can you sell me new? We're always like, well, tell me what you got now. And they may think their 20-year-old Vista is worthless at this point, but we're really good at understanding what we can do to upgrade, an older system to bring on some of today's new features like interactive control or, remote programming capabilities or cellular communications, whatever it may be. So, we're always trying to help the customer use what's already installed because that pre-wiring is invaluable. And a lot of times, while we love wireless, if the house already has every sensor contacted, it can be very expensive to replace that with all new wireless. So anytime we can, we're trying to leverage what's there. And whether that's through, like Steven said, the wired to wireless takeover modules or the new, other options. We love the all-in-one panels, but even those can be added into, existing legacy systems very nicely without having to reinvent the wheel and buy a whole new system. So we're always trying to save our customers on that upfront there too.
And can I add one more thing?
No, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things I'll tell you guys too that's helped Pettibone Alarm. So the first tech we hired in 91 is still employed at Pettibone. My average technician has been with me 19 years. Invest in your people. Keep your team. And then your customer service, your referrals, it will really, really, really benefit you. And figure out a way to bonus your techs, bonus your office staff for everything that gets produced revenue-wise. And when they have a piece of the game, you'd be amazed at how many add-ons you get, upsells, saving accounts, et cetera, et cetera. So invest in your people.
Very good. Those are some good closing words. Thanks for that, Richie. And thank you to all of you guys very much for participating, for those great ideas and for sharing.